There was a time when big film premieres would attract a lot of attention. And all eyes would be on the Friday on which the big film would be released. Those times are long gone, and they've been replaced by the age of OTT and the fact that every big OTT release now sees large hoardings across the city and a lot of excitement. And even as we speak, live streamed at the moment is the latest OTT big release. Khufiya is Vishal Bhardwaj's latest work. It stars Tabu, Ali, Fazal, Wamiqa, Gabbi. Tabu unfortunately cannot be with us, but please welcome Vishal, Wamiqa and Ali as Khufiya premieres even as we speak. Vishal, I compared the big screen just for a moment to what happens on OTT. All the excitement that used to be on the big screen now appears to be slowly shifting to OTT. Is that the way you also see it? Or do you believe they're two completely different medium in a way? You're just a creative person who's putting your skills from the big screen onto OTT platforms.
No, actually, they are two different mediums now, and they are giving you, the opportunity to tell the stories, and like stories are divided now. Like the kind of films I make, a film like Heather 10 years back was a big theatrical release. Today, so it will be very difficult for me to make Heather in any case. But a film like Heather, a film like Maqbool, not Omkara, but those kind of stories. Now people, they want to see kind of a spectacle on biggest screen. So our viewing habits have changed. So after the pandemic, our viewing habit, because we were confined to our homes, we are forced to be, inside our homes, so our viewing habits have changed. That's why these two platforms, the theater and the OTT platforms are there.
You're saying something interesting. You're saying that if it's a spectacle, that's what succeeds on the big screen. You've had a lot of big successes this year. You meaning Bollywood has had a lot of big successes this year on the big screen, which are seen to be big budget films. You're telling me that with smaller budgets, better storytelling, perhaps has a better chance today on OTT to spread its message around?
Not a better chance. You won't get money to make those kind of subjects. Only the OTTs will give you that kind of money, and they are also dominating now. Earlier they were very, very liberal, but now they are also very, going very strict on that. And obviously, and there is one problem which we don't talk about is the theater. They charge you so much when you go to watch a film. You get like a 400 rupees popcorn or 500 rupees popcorn. So those it's a very, very, expensive affair to go and watch a film in theater. So it really should offer you something which you can't watch on your home TV screen or on your laptop. It has to offer you something so extra that you are willing to take a popcorn of 400 rupees.
Taking off from what you said, I'll turn to Ali for a moment, because Ali, I remember one of my first binge watching experiences was Mirzapur. And what you have achieved with that has stayed to the point where you had Mirzapur 2, you're going to have a third season now. And do you believe that therefore you got the recognition from Mirzapur that you may not have got so soon had you taken the traditional big screen route? Is this a disruption you believe in the existing order that you've done? And by the way, you were fantastic in it.
Thank you.
And I'm even happier that you're a Xavierite, which means that St. Xavier still throws up stars as they used to in the 70s. But tell me about that. Is this a disruption of the existing order?
Yes, I do believe so. In fact, at the time when I was offered, there weren't much of the shows happening, and the OTT had, I think, just come in. But I've had the fortune of having some of my work being done on the other side of the world. So मुझे वहाँ दिख गया था. I saw it coming. I saw it working. I saw the model working. I know a lot of known directors who have asked me not to be part of this at the time. कि क्या कर रहे हो? ये तो आएगा 5-6 साल में आएगा, ये सब ऐसे ही होता है ये वो. And I really believed. I thought it could make a difference. I could make a difference in the long format, which was already been done in the West. So yeah, we, it's definitely a disruptor. We still are cinema lovers. We love our theaters. And I would always run to, do a film that is going to be out there. वो एक चाह हर एक्टर में होती है.
नहीं, पर अगर डायरेक्टर आपको कहे यार एक ओटीटी, आई एम साइनिंग यू फॉर एन ओटीटी प्रोजेक्ट एंड समवन कम्स विद a theatrical release, what do you go for first?
No, I mean, I'm also not that. मतलब मुझे तो ये इनके हलो पे आ गया था, मैंने हाँ बोलने वाला था मैं. फिर मैंने, I stopped myself, I said, वो he'll judge me, वो स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ लेता हूँ, he can questions ना पूछ ले. तो मैंने, then I called him back, I said, I've read the script, so I'm on. You
had to read a Vishal Bhardwaj script to say yes, or the moment he rang you up, you said yes?
No, it was ringing and I was yes. It was 5 yeses.
Wamiqa, is that the way you see it? If someone like a Vishal Bhardwaj comes to you with all his pedigree in cinema and says, I've got an OTT project, do you say yes straight away?
Yes.
To Vishal sir, definitely. I have always loved his films. I have loved him, loved his sensibilities, his vision, and I've always, I think, जितना भी हमने काम साथ में किया है, हम पहली बार जब काम कर रहे थे, तो there was this 1-2 conditions that was supposed to be there उस एक character के लिए, and I was like yes, because I know that he's such a sensible person, such a sensible filmmaker. So yes to everything that Vishal sir would ever ask.
No, but you ended up doing what? In 2023 now, 3 projects at the same time, 3 OTT projects that have come in the same year. Is that therefore, if you're doing OTT, you're going to have many more projects perhaps coming through in a faster pace than had you to do one theatrical release, which would come maybe after 18-24 months?
Well, at the time when I got those projects, it was pandemic, so theaters were closed. And we had no choice that, okay, I have to choose between a theatrical film or an OTT project. I'm so glad that I got those projects. I got that recognition because of those projects, may it be Manu from Grahan or Nilofer from Jubilee. Then I've done 4 projects with Vishal sir, which are all on OTT. मेरे तो ख्यालों में ही रहता था कि कभी विशाल सर के साथ काम करूंगी. 2 सालों में मैंने 4 चीजें कर ली हैं, just because it's all on OTT and things were getting made. So yeah.
Did the pandemic therefore change the rules of the game? Did the pandemic change? Has it changed the rules of the game for the world of entertainment?
I think for everyone, even for your India Today, it must have changed. I mean, the print is, the people are so stuck to reading things on their Instagram and on the social media itself. So many things have changed. I used to have a newspaper. I was in a habit of reading a newspaper, and now I'm not.
You stopped reading the newspaper?
Yeah, because everything which I want to read is available on Instagram and Twitter. So, we are changing, we are evolving, and I think pandemic has taught us a lot. I enjoyed so much time with myself, which I thought I would have never had given myself that kind of time.
Let's talk about Khufiya for a moment, because you're doing, in a way, a spy thriller. What is quite remarkable is the range over the years that you've been able to bring to your cinema. You take a real life story, you chose a non-fiction book, and then build it into a story for OTT. What for you attracted you to the project? Why did you decide to do this?
So this book was written by Mr. Amar Bhushan, who was the head of counter-espionage unit of R&AW. And I was very fascinated when I read that book, because usually, we don't get to know about the intelligence operations. And our R&AW is really secretive in taking out, their operations, all the details of those operations. Now, I think 2 years back, the government has banned that.
Yeah, government has banned all
I think all security agencies.
All security agency officers from coming on screen or even on television shows to speak about their times. But this was, you were lucky that it happened before.
Yeah, it happened before. So in retrospect, they didn't do it. So that's the good news. And I had this book with me, and it offered me such, insight into R&AW world, the way they work, and especially the office atmosphere. And it's like any other, government office. And the accountant is not giving vouchers for a washing machine to be given to an asset in Bangladesh. I mean, it is such a funny thing. And, he's not passing the vouchers, so the officer goes and swipes his credit card for that. So these kind of details were there. Then, there's a bus of the office who picks up their officers on the way. So they stand with their boxes, lunch boxes, and, their suitcases on the road, and they are picked up and dropped. So these kind of details, we always think that the spies are, like the James Bond or Salman Khan, Ekta Tiger, or Pathan, Shah Rukh. So the reality is something else, and it's stranger than fiction. It's stranger than fiction.
So it's not James Bond.
It's not.
It's an Indian raw officer facing all the problems of the state and dealing with the bureaucracy that is there.
Yeah, that too, and the reality of it. When we make spy films, we forget, that they are human beings first. They are not superhuman beings, and the facts, like they are not supposed to even carry weapons on them. They can't carry weapons. They have to, win something, whatever their operations, through their intelligence. So these kind of things, and especially this operation, because this was based on a real case. When there was a mole in R&AW office in year 2004, his name was Major Rabinder Singh, and they identified him. But they, the theme of the book and the film is that the puppeteer is more important than the puppet. So they wanted to catch the puppeteer. The puppet was already in their hands. So they laid surveillance on their officer, and inside their office, they couldn't find the source where he's taking the money to. Taking these documents, the secret documents of our defense intelligence. So they bugged his home, and the control room was made across his home. There was a mother dairy booth, and in the back room of the mother dairy booth, the control room was made. So it was so fascinating that, the R&AW took over the mother dairy booth. They were selling milk and, ice creams, and while keeping an eye on a mole. So these things actually, they excited me the most. That because when we make, we don't make espionage films, if you people must have seen Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by Jean Le Carré. He worked in MI6 for 20 years, and later he became a fictional writer. When you watch those films, like The Most Wanted Man, or a TV series like The Americans, so I think I'm speaking a lot. So you are preparing for the next picture.
Le Carré is in another league.
Yes.
And he's also been rediscovered by OTT and live streaming platforms. You've got series now being done on all his books again. The Night Manager being a great example of it. So are you telling me that you want to create, hopefully over time, maybe, rediscover this entire space very differently for Indian audiences?
Yes, because this subject of espionage has not been dealt by us as filmmakers, as purely it should be, because it's very thrilling, it's very exciting. But it doesn't offer, the flying cars and,
नहीं, बॉलीवुड करता रहता है, बीच में करता रहता है, ऐसा नहीं है.
बताइए क्या कभी आपने देखा है स्पिनाच? मैंने तो नहीं देखा
यार. अब आप पठान लीजिए, उसमें कहीं ना कहीं वो फ्लाइंग कार्स तो थे.
नहीं, मैं वो कह रहा हूँ कि वो उसका हाइटेंड वर्जन है, जो कि बहुत मजेदार है. मुझे भी देखने में मजा आता है. पठान देखने में मजा आया, जवान देखने में मजा आया, पर वो एस्पियोनाज नहीं है. वो एक इमेजिनेटिव वर्ल्ड ऑफ अ फिल्म मेकर है, और वो एक्चुअल एस्पियोनाज नहीं है.
शाहरुख उसमें कहता है कि मैं एक तरह से इंटेलिजेंस ऑफिसर हूं.
एक तरह से नहीं, वो इंटेलिजेंस ऑफिसर है. और उन्होंने जो किया है, उन्होंने स्पेशली जो जवान में किया है शाहरुख ने, वो हम एज फिल्म मेकर्स नहीं कर पाए. शाहरुख ने इतनी खूबसूरत फिल्म बनाई है, जो कहना चाहा है वो कहा है, और वो फिल्म रिलीज भी हुई है. ही इज माई हीरो. when I see him in Jawan.
So you're saying there's space for both a Jawan and for a Khufiya
And a Pathan.
and a Pathan.
Oh, yeah, of course, Pathan should have a space in this country more now.
Ali, as there is a space for a Mirzapur and for a Khufiya, for you, the rawness, what struck audiences about Mirzapur was the sheer rawness of that project. And I presume that OTT allowed that space, which isn't always there on the big screen. How for you has this experience been working with Vishal Bhardwaj?
It's actually, raw is a great word. In all senses. It has been a very learning experience for me. It's the first time I crossed paths with Vishalji, and I'm so glad for my stars that happened, because he's already been doing that for a long time. आप बड़े पर्दे पे देख लीजिए, आप OTT पे देख लीजिए, in whatever way and form. So sure, the OTTs allow that little extra leeway. और मुझे लगता है the first few ones were everybody getting their bhadas out. I think now they are starting to normalize, and we are also trying to, really keep up with all the other work happening in the rest of the world. And I think Khufiya is no less, and that whole world I've been introduced to by him.
Because interestingly, you were also supposed to do a couple of Hollywood projects, which you are at the moment.
Ji.
Then there's a Hollywood strike that takes place. So you find yourself caught between your Hollywood projects, which are put on hold, and doing a film like this. Are you finding that easy, making those
No.
do you believe Indian filmmakers are as effective in their storytelling abilities
Yes.
as, let's say, the foreign filmmakers are, even in the spy genre with a film like Night
Oh,
Manager?
yes. I think this, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think this is at par with any other film. And like Sir said, even in the West, I don't think we've seen very few spy films and shows that have come out. There's The Spy on Netflix only, I think. But that's a series.
And the Americans, I think, there was a show called The Americans,
Correct. Americans is, again, it's actually, that's one of
See,
the
the
best.
Americans enjoyed doing spy
Brilliant.
films for the longest time and did a very, very good job of it.
But again, it's rooted. It goes to, it's about relationships. And then, of course, the suaveness of these spies, behind that. And that's fun.
Wamiqa, for a moment we mentioned briefly Jawan, and I read somewhere that you're working with Atlee on his next film.
Yay. Yes, he's producing his first, and I am fortunate enough to be part of that film, yes.
So that's interesting. You have you can sort of move between a Vishal Bhardwaj and an Atlee with, you're effectively crossing the divide, the great divide, that if there is any such divide.
Well, just different schools of filmmaking, different sensibilities, and I'm so happy that I've worked with directors like Vishal sir, or Vikramaditya Motwani, or Ranjan Chandel, or Atul Mongia sir. They all have just different sensibilities as a filmmaker. And I feel very fortunate to have worked with all of them, because they have helped me, with my emotionality and intelligence as an actor. And not all actors get to experience that. So I feel very, very fortunate. And I'm so happy that I've done 2 short films, 1 long format, and 1 film with Vishal sir. And I'm working with Atlee sir as well. So I'm very lucky. I feel very fortunate.
One person who's not here, but is someone who's been very much part of your cinematic history, is Tabu. Every time I think of her, I think of you. You all have been able to put together a lot of great cinema. What makes her special? You sort of turn to her almost instinctively when you want to make a really good film.
वो बचपन का प्यार है actually.
अरे वाह!
और I think सबका
अच्छा,
होगा
और
टबू
बता
को।
दो फिर।
Yeah, टबू।
नहीं, हर एक डायरेक्टर का कोई एक म्यूज होता है।
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल होता है, और वो बदलते भी रहते हैं, पर ये एक सोलमेट का रिश्ता है ये टबू के साथ, और बहुत पुराना हम लोगों को काम करते हो साथ में. It's been like 29 years we have been working together. My first film was Marches, where I came as a music composer, and that film also changed world for both of us. For Tabu before that was not taken as a serious actor, and post that Tabu was a different and I made my entry into Bollywood with Marches. So we have been working together, and there's a kind of understanding, trust, and love between us, which whenever we come together, because what I think, when we work on set, there's an energy, there is a vibe, and when that vibe is full of love, then we end up making good films. Even if we don't make good films, we remain so proud of our work. If that film doesn't succeed on box office, that doesn't matter. So that journey becomes so important. And with Taboo, that always happens, that the journey is so beautiful that you forget that what the result is going to be.
Because your other great soulmate, filmy soulmate, if I may call, was Gulzar Saab, your mentor in many ways. Have you shown Khufiya to him? Do you take some of your cinema to Gulzar Saab and say, "Sir, मैंने ये film बनाई है, आप जरा देख लीजिए"? Is he someone who's like a sounding board for you?
Actually, more than that, he's more than my soulmate. मैं अक्सर बोलता हूँ कि वो एक जैसे बरगद का पेड़ होता है ना, वो पेड़ हैं और हम सब उनकी शाखाएं हैं, हम उनकी ब्रांचेस हैं. तो मैं तो उन्हीं से जना हुआ हूँ, मैं उन्हीं का हिस्सा हूँ, उन्हीं से निकला हुआ हूँ. पहले मैं उन्हें एप भी करता था, मेरे जेस्चर्स, पोस्चर्स सब उनकी तरह होने लगे थे. मेरी पोइट्री जो थी वो भी वैसी ही थी. बड़े कॉन्शियसली मैंने अपने आप को उनसे अलग किया, मैंने अपना रास्ता ढूंढा. तो मेरे लिए ज्यादा मुश्किल काम था. ऑब्वियसली मैं कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं करता हूँ जिंदगी में जो उनकी इजाजत के बिना ना हो और जो उनके अप्रूवल के बिना ना हो. खुफिया, he read as a script, he watched as a film, and I wanted to make an espionage film for a very long time. और मैं हैदर के वक्त में मैंने हैमलेट में एस्पिनाज प्लांट किया था, क्योंकि मैं इतना ऑब्सेस हूँ और था एस्पिनाज वर्ल्ड से. तो उन्होंने जब पढ़ा मेरा ट्रीटमेंट हैमलेट का, तो ही asked me कि yeah, it's very good, but it's like a very regular CIA films, that US made. Where's the tragedy of Hamlet? What are you doing? Because he tells me that I exploit Shakespeare's name to my advantage, and I am a fraud, and my films are actually original films. I make it for the business purposes. I exploit Shakespeare, which I disagree. But he says that. So he said, but if you are saying Hamlet, where's the tragedy of Hamlet? And my first instinct was, maybe Guldar Saab is outdated now, he is not able to see what I'm trying to do in this espionage thriller. But later, when my ego came down and, my fever came down, so I realized that he's right. There's no tragedy, the tragedy of Hamlet, which is so strong, which affects us so badly when we watch a good performance of Hamlet. So that's where, I happened to read Basharat Peer's book, and, then and Heather happened, yeah.
It is not just taboo, but you've also, in a way, become an intrinsic part, Wamiqa, of anything that Vishal Bhardwaj increasingly does. What you've done, one short film, you've done a series, you've done the film, you're doing now Khufiya. So you've done a lot of work with him. Tell us what he's like as a director. You see, he seems here, and I met him a few months ago, very quietly sitting at a breakfast table somewhere. The two of us met and chatted. He's a very quiet man when you meet him. Is he very different on a film set, very demanding? Tell us who the real Vishal Bhardwaj is.
Be careful.
He won't give you the next film, but that apart, you can tell us honestly what he's like.
I always believe that जैसी फिल्म्स होती हैं ना, उनके जो फिल्म मेकर्स होते हैं ना, उनकी सोच उनकी फिल्म्स में आती है. वो जैसे इंसान हैं, वो जैसे अपनी फिल्म्स में, अपने लाइफ में जैसे लोगों को ट्रीट करते हैं, औरतों को जैसे देखते हैं, तो उनकी फिल्म्स में भी ना वो रिफ्लेक्ट करता है. एंड आई हैव ऑलवेज लव्ड all the characters, especially female characters written by Vishal sir. And that's how that's why I was saying that I'm fortunate that I've done so much work with him, played those strong female characters. And working with him, I realized that that's how he sees women, He sees them strong, he sees them flawed, but so much acceptance. I think for males ke liye, generally he acceptance hoti hai with flawed males, but for females, I think that's how he is. I have learned so much by working with him. मेरी लाइफ में जो एक हिस्सा बन गई है चीज जो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि इस पे इन चीजों का ध्यान रखना है, which is always be kind, empathetic, more accepting. That's how he is. मैं इनके साथ जब जितना भी मैंने काम किया है, वो जिस तरह से सिर्फ एक्टर्स का ही नहीं पूरे क्रू का ध्यान रखते हैं, सबको एक तरीके से, और ये सब बातें कई बार होती हैं कि सबको एक जैसे से ट्रीट करना, बट ही एक्चुअली इज लाइक दैट. तो इनसे ना वो बस वो ऐसे सादगी जो इनमें आपने उस दिन देखी होगी टेबल पे, वो ऐसे ही है. लेकिन ही इज अ लॉर्ड ऑफ फन, ही हैज ग्रेट सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर. तो कई बार डर भी लगता है कि आज कहाँ से सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर का वो तीर बच जाएगा, बट इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ फन. इनकी फिल्म्स भी वैसी होती हैं, सीरियस लेकिन ऐसी कॉमेडी होती है ना कि मतलब, तो दैट्स हाउ ही इज व्हाट हिज फिल्म्स रिप्रेजेंट. या
You know, he wants to keep his private life private in many ways. But Ali, while researching this, I found it very interesting that your wedding with Richa is going to become a documentary. You decided to put all your wedding festivities out there. Is that true? I mean, is that also on OTT? Is this part of OTT where you want to, let it all hang out there? First of all, am I right in saying that your wedding is going to be a documentary?
No, it's something we were dabbling with, and we'll
You're
speak about it
dabbling
later.
with? It's not coming out?
Not right now. Nothing right now. Nothing coming out right now.
It came
That's
out as
unreal.
almost like breaking news and...
Yes, we are, figuring things out, and hopefully we'll come out.
But at home?
But it's very different. It's
I
not
actually
a
missed his
document.
wedding, so I'm really excited to see that.
No, I wanted to jump in that time when you were talking, and I wanted to say there's a maestro hiding inside Sir's head, who's playing this big concert. So it's a wild, wild mind that we've been, blessed with on sets, and to have someone like that is amazing, because you see the musicality come out. Of course, so his music is anyway very famous, but you see it in all the films, and in this film particularly.
But I just want to ask you, we won't go into the documentary, the wedding,
Okay.
but the creative energy at home,
Yes.
you and Richa, just like he turns to Gulzar Saab for affirmation almost, ki yaar achhi picture banai hai, do you turn to Richa for, have I performed well?
Yes.
Or, and do you turn to each other in a way?
Yeah, it was my most nervous moment yesterday. She was watching the film. तो मैं तो वेट कर रहा था 3 घंटा बाहर कि वो कब निकले. And her opinion really matters, because I'm a big fan of her work, and the way she interprets and reads roles.
And for you, what has been special about working with Vishal Bhardwaj?
I've been manipulated very well. It's very hard to do that. मतलब मैं हूँ, थोड़ा दिमाग है. And then, someone like him comes and throws in a seed in the middle of a scene, and that scene just jumps out, and it takes a life of its own. And so many times between her and my characters, those scenes were very good already on paper, but then they sprang up. And it would take maybe one word coming from him on set, कि यार ये सोच लेना. And it just becomes something. But again, I can go very, very deep into the craft of, Vishal Bhardwaj, of how I interpret it and how we've seen it. But that's another conversation.
Because Vishal, your journey, and indeed the journey of many of this new generation of stars is quite incredible. Your own journey, music, to then turning to direction and production, but is central to what makes a successful OTT today more than music. It is actually stories. Has this given the writer finally the space that he or she deserves in cinema? Because if you saw the credit titles of the old films, the writer was never top, it was always the director, even the music composer, but not the writer. Are we finally seeing cinema in the age of the storyteller, of the writer above all else? And that dialogue writer in particular is critical.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it happened very late, but it has happened. That the writers or like the showrunners and it's written, created by the writers.
That's right. Hansal Mehta is the showrunner for all.
Yeah.
Is the other one who's made this great. So what is the showrunner now effectively the one driving the project?
Yeah, showrunner. That's why he's called the showrunner, and he drives everything. He वो पूरी टीम्स को देखता है कि जहाँ राइटर्स की टीम क्या कर रही है, डायरेक्टर्स, because he doesn't even direct. He gets them directed by other directors, and it's a very strange thing. Rajdip, she's giving you a note. Yeah, it's enough, she's saying.
Yeah, I'll tell you about the note in a moment. You carry on.
Yeah, so so बड़ा कमाल की बात है कि एक 6 एपिसोड या 8 एपिसोड सीरीज में 3 डायरेक्टर्स होते हैं और 6 राइटर्स होते हैं और 2-3 म्यूजिक कंपोजर्स होते हैं, 2 एडिटर्स होते हैं, पर आपको एक उसको ऑर्गेनिक बनाना है कि वो एक ही इंसान की सोच लगे, एक ही इंसान का काम लगे, तो वो शो रनर का काम होता है, जो कि बड़ा मुश्किल काम है.
The request that I've got here is for Vishal to sing one of his songs. That is your first.
No, he's lying. He has changed the note. Rajdeep, you have changed the note.
नहीं, ये देखो यार. Why do I get into trouble? Because in an age where, I try to tell the truth. It's very difficult. Particularly to tell truth to power is even more difficult. You're not even powerful, so like some of our politicians, so you can oblige me. They won't.
नहीं, अच्छा है, चलिए, जो आपने पढ़ा वही बोला, ये भी अच्छी बात है जी. तो मैं खुफिया का ये गाना सुना देता हूँ.
जरूर.
हे 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 ना होश चले ना जुनून चले, हे 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 दिल पर किसका कानून चले, हे 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 तू जान मेरी जान है तू, चल जैसे रगों में खून चले, हे 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 हे. Thank you.
Does he, during film shoots, treat you to something like this every night after a long shoot? Kabhi. But it's wonderful that you've come here on this special day for you. New film coming out, a premiere, and already the reports that you get are terrific. And I've just seen the rushes, and I look forward to seeing the whole film. Vishal, Wamiqa, more power to you. And Ali, keep doing good work and keep the old college flag flying. From the age of Smita Patil and Shabana Azmi to the age of Ali Fazal. So,
well, मैंने भी 10 साल St. Xavier's में पढ़ा है, बॉम्बे नहीं, चंडीगढ़. But हाँ, मैं भी same ही tribe हूँ.
We'll embrace St. Xavier's Chandigarh very easily. We have a Xavier's collective across the country, but that's great. Of course, Vishal comes from Hindu college, and we will discuss that on another.
R&AW Swami भी वहीं से हैं.
हाँ, वो अलग दिन पर अलग डेट पर हम उस पर भी बात करेंगे. But it's great to have all three of you on this special day. I wish your project very well, and may the power that you have of creativity continue to flourish. Thank you all very much.